Hey YouTube, so it's Enigma here, and we'll be starting with another new series or VARC. I'll be doing my best as I can in these upcoming days. So, as usual, I will provide the link for this session in the comment section below. You can actually download the PDF of this session, and you can actually try for yourself how you are able to solve those parajumbles. I would say the maximum that you should give to a parajumble in any, like whether you're practicing or not, it should be 180 seconds, not more than that, because it's like a waste of time if you're utilizing that much amount of time of any parajumbles. Yeah, because in examination you won't get that much time. You don't have that kind, you can say, leniency to spend more than 180 seconds on a single question, specifically in VA, where it's the most scoring section of VARC. So definitely keep a mind on that. So let's start with the parajumbles. So this is the first parajumble. I would encourage you to like just solve it yourself and check for yourself whether you are able to solve it pretty well. And if you're able to solve it, that's pretty good. And if not, then let's look at the solution here. So I will be starting with I will go in sequence wise. I will not give you the perfect solution. I will like explain you my logical understanding why I think that this should be the correct sequence. Okay. So let's start with the very first sentence, like this foundational understanding. Now, from the very starting point, I can visualize here that this is mentioned here, which means like we have a use of this foundational understanding. Now, you have to recognize it pretty well that this requires a reference. It cannot be the starting statement here. So immediately I'm thinking this probably isn't the starting statement, and this is referring to this foundational understanding. So we are referring to some kind of foundational understanding. We are understanding something allows for a more nuanced approach for interventions, moving beyond superficial symptom management toward addressing root causes. So definitely, this statement needs a supporting statement. This is definitely this cannot, you can say, stand alone. It needs some kind of reference here. So this is not a starting statement. What I can understand to this, some topic is going on and there is some sort of foundational understanding that this is some sort of insight that we have gained that allows us to be more nuanced. Okay, and that has caused us to move beyond superficial symptom management and towards addressing root causes. So that is what I'm getting from this statement. So this is not the starting statement, maybe. Then we have second statement, neuroplasticity. Like this is like hyphen. So one of the things that you have to recognize, if you are referring to a hyphen, you can actually skip the part and you can just read the end part. Neuroplasticity represents a paradigm shift in our understanding of learning and recovery. So this is probably the main point of this statement, that this is like the main definition, that neuroplasticity, what is neuroplasticity? It represents a paradigm shift in our understanding of learning and recovery. This is the main topic of maybe the paragraph. I would refer that this is probably a more starting statement. Definitely seems like a starting statement, but if I get a more opt statement, then I will go like later. Now let's read the central part which is being mentioned in the paragraph. That neuroplasticity. This is defining the neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to recognize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. Now this is the part which is neuroplasticity is defined. After that, it is that after the comma, it says represents a paradigm shift in our understanding of learning and recovery. So this part actually explains that what is its impact. Like like neuroplasticity represents a paradigm shift. It is like by understanding neuroplasticity, we are representing like neuroplasticity is representing a like generational shift in our understanding of learning and recovery. So definitely, I will say Q is much like 95%. I'm sure that this is a starting statement. From rehabilitation after stroke to the acquisition of complex cognitive skills, this adaptive capacity underpins much of human development and resilience. Now, first thing that you have to understand that Q definitely, I will say that is the starting statement. I will even refer, because I'm like after the next statement, I'm referring to consequently. So definitely this cannot be a starting statement either. So definitely Q is our starting statement. Okay. Now, one thing you have to realize that the Q, like the sentence that is Q, it's being explained that neuroplasticity, it represents a paradigm shift in our understanding of learning and recovery. This is the starting statement. Now, this shift is definitely explained in R, if you read it correctly. From rehabilitation after stroke to the acquisition of complex cognitive skills, it provides the like a definite examples of this. Like from this to this adaptive, and the biggest thing, the biggest I guess say hint here is this, because this refers to the neuroplasticity itself. This is like a definite strong link that you have to recognize here. So neuroplasticity, check it yourself, read it yourself, you will get the point that I'm making. Neuroplasticity represents a paradigm shift in our understanding of learning and recovery. recovery from rehabilitation after stroke to the acquisition of complex cognitive skills, this adaptive capacity underpins much of human development and resilience. So definitely Q and R forms a very strong link because neuroplasticity is being explained in the Q and its impact is mentioned here, and the specific example of that impact is being given in R. From rehabilitation after stroke to the acquisition of complex cognitive skills, this adaptive capacity underpins much of human development and resilience. So definitely Q and R are strongly linked. Then I will say that consequently, I will let me read S first. I have not read an S. Consequently, advancement in neurotechnology and therapeutic strategies increasingly leverage these. So these is definitely mentioned here. So I will need a plural reference here. Inherent adaptive mechanism to foster optimal brain function and repair. So the thing is, it seems extremely odd to put after R I am putting consequently. Like a consequently mentions the word of consequently needs a, you can say a causation, which means like these are the things that are occurring, and after that I will say because of this advancement neurotechnology and therapeutic strategies increasingly leverage these inherent adaptive mechanisms to foster optimal brain function. So I'm reluctant to put S here. Let's check whether P fits here. This foundational understandings allows for a more nuanced approach to interventions moving beyond superficial symptom management and towards addressing root causes. Now, I will tell you why this seems like a good choice for me. Now, you have to understand this. When we are using this foundational understanding, now what is this foundational understanding? The foundational understanding that we have gained, the insight that we have gained from understanding neuroplasticity, which is mentioned in Q, and its impact, which is mentioned in R. So look at this in manner. The sentence P, or the sentence that we have read in P, it explains the practical benefits of what we have understand from Q and R, and it shifts the, you can say, the approach to medical and cognitive interventions. As you can see, more to interventions moving beyond superficial symptom management to our addressing to the root causes. And consequently, and by P we will mention, like after P we will mention is that consequently advancement in neurotechnology and therapeutic strategies increasingly leverage these inherent adaptive mechanisms to foster optimal brain function and repair. So definitely QRPS is I can say a more coherative you can say paragraph. I might say that there are, because like this link is not that strong. I will first like amplify. This link is not like really like after R this is P mentioned. This is like really hard to spot. But what I do right now is like usually what I do, I usually when such kind of paragraph or parajumbles come, I usually club two sentences together. So this is pretty useful for me. So definitely I will start neuroplasticity should be the beginning of the sentence. That neuroplasticity is the beginning statement, that should be easy. After that, the follow from rehabilitation after stroke to the acquisition of complex cognitive, this adaptive. So how do I like acquisition, like you have to understand this, how do I require the link of like acquire the link of Q and R? There were two hints. First thing is that neuroplasticity, most of the one of the problems with these kind of parajumbles is you get lost sometimes, you have to pick up the Q. The first thing is that it's not the definition that is important. If the sentence would have just like this, that neuroplasticity is the brain's remarkable ability to organize itself by forming new neural connection throughout life, then it would have been a different paragraph itself. But the key highlight point, or like the key main point here is not neuroplasticity's definition but neuroplasticity's impact. So first thing is that we will start with Q. We describe the impact that neuroplasticity is making. It represents a paradigm shift in our understanding of learning and recovery. After that, what is this like paradigm shift that we are talking about? The R provides a definitive example, or like some kind of example of this phenomena, that like from rehabilitation after stroke to the acquisition of complex cognitive skills. This is used for neuroplasticity itself. This adaptive capacity underpins much of human development and resilience. So Q and R are strongly linked. After I looked at after the insight that I've gained, like this insight that I've gained from R, like this example of R connects with P. This foundational understandings, which means like the insight that we have gained right now, allows for a more nuanced approach. Because of this insight that we have gained, we are allowed for a more nuanced approach where we can actually, you can say, move beyond, instead of just being like fixated on superficial symptom management, we are moving beyond it and we are addressing root cause issues, due to which, as a result of which, consequently, advancement in neurotechnology and therapeutic strategies increasingly leverage these inherent adaptive mechanisms to foster optimal brain function and repair. So QRPS is definitely a coherent paragraph. This may seem like a tough paragraph to you, or may definitely I would not encourage you to go in exam and waste a lot of time, because this is not some kind of parajumbles which is going to be solved in 120 seconds. It's going to take a lot. So attempt this in exam only when you think that you can maybe have done a lot. Like I will say you again, this is probably a parajumble that you should leave in exam if you feel like after reading it you're not able to form link quickly, because there would be certainly some kind of parajumbles that would be pretty easy for you at the end. So QRPS is definitely, you can say, the link here. Now we go with the second question. Again, I will go with like one by one, and we'll see where we are standing right now. Again, this shift, so it cannot be a starting statement, it needs a reference. So we are talking about some kind of shift. This shift necessitates a re-evaluation of educational method plans, prioritizing critical thinking, adaptability, and interdisciplinary collaboration over rote memorization. So we are talking about some kind of shift. I don't know what shift necessitates a re-evaluation, and this shift is requiring a re-evaluation of educational method plan, and that is being explained here, like prioritizing critical thinking, adaptability, and interdisciplinary collaboration over rote memorization. So we don't want rote memorization, we want critical thinking and some sort of explained in here. So this is definitely not the starting statement that we are definitely sure. The accelerating pace of technological innovation is fundamentally reshaping the demands of the future workforce, rendering many traditional skills sets rapidly obsolete. Now, this seems like a good starting statement to me. I will keep it aside because this is mentioning what I can feel like the core crux of the para. Up until now, until I've read P and Q, Q seems like a starting statement to me, that the accelerating pace of technological innovation, this is maybe the main point, is fundamentally reshaping the demands of the future workforce, rendering many traditional skills rapidly obsolete. So because of technological innovation is occurring at such a rapid pace that the traditional skill sets are, like it's causing, due to this, the effect is that the many traditional skills are no longer useful. So this is like seems like a starting statement. Consequently, institutions now consequently requires a definitive, you can say, I'm sure Q is not connected with R because it uses a word consequently, as a result of which means like we need some sort of strong reference. Consequently, institutions of learning face the urgent imperative of preparing students not just for existing professional but for roles that they have yet to be conceived. Now this seems, if I put R after Q, this is like a really, you can say, mismatch. You might feel like it, okay, like we have like there is an urge, definitely I will say that people may feel like an urge, okay, like because Q is happening, this might be a like cause, and then we can say that traditional skills are rapidly obsolete, then we can use consequently as a result of which. But I will say this is not a good thing. Why? Because like one key information makes this pair horrendous, because consequently institutions of learning face the urgent imperative. You are introducing the institutions of learning face the urgent imperative, preparing students not just for existing professional but for roles that have yet to be conceived. This seems like very alien concept, or because we are just saying, first point is this, technical innovation is actually causing traditional skill sets to be rapidly like no longer useful, and due to which institution of learning face the urgent imperative to preparing students not just for existing professional but for roles that have yet to be conceived. So I'm not so sure whether I should put it or not. I'm putting it in hold right now. Okay, so this is like slightly odd sentence to me right now. This is like definitely odd to me. Such an environment, now such needs a reference. Now what is the such an environment? This is like, I will see that this is like definitely linked. The environment which is caused due to like we have an accelerating pace of technological innovation, due to which traditional skills are no longer useful, and such kind of environment requires individual to be perpetual learners. They have to learn continuously, capable of integrating new information and skills fluidly throughout their careers. So I can definitely say Q and S are strongly linked. Q and S makes a strong link. After this, can I introduce now? There has to be either the link is R or P, or either the link is P and R. I have to check what suits best to me. If I put R here, consequently, institution of learning face the urgent imperative of preparing students not just for existing professional but for roles that have yet to be conceived. This shift. Now, what is this shift? What is this shift? We need a strong reference to this. What is the shift? There, if I put R over here, then this shift causes the causes the paragraph to be no longer coherent. That's the point that I'm making right now. This shift causes the paragraph to be no longer coherent. So the best thing for us is, after Q we introduces the concept of S, then after S we introduce the topic of P. Why? Because this needs a reference. So what is this shift? This shift which is caused by perpetual learning, because earlier maybe the people were not perpetual learner but because of technological innovations, people have to be perpetual learners. And this shift which is caused by technology necessitates a reevaluation of educational method plans. We need to reevaluate the educational method plans, and due to which we have to prioritize critical thinking, adaptability, and interdisciplinary collaboration over rote memorization. And as a result of which means like consequently, as a consequence of that, institutions of learning face the urgent imperative of preparing students not just for existing professionals but for roles that are yet to be conceived. So I definitely feel like QSPR is a solid, uh, coherent, you can say, a link of this session. So definitely I feel like that this is the correct answer to this. Maybe you will feel like it's might be hard for some people. Some people have just put Q and R over the linkage, but Q and R doesn't form a link because of this institutional angle that we can institutional of learning phase an important angle. And if you put Q and R, then S becomes, like S and P becomes like really horrendous pair, because if you put in such an environment, so where is the such an environment, where is the reference for such an environment? So that causes a lot of havoc. So definitely I will say QSPR is the link on the second question. Okay, so yeah, third question. Now this is on like slightly tricky side, but I will not say that this is not doable. So let's start with the first P point. This often manifests. Now this is like definitely you can say a common occurrence that this is go happen. This is not a starting statement. If you need a strong, can say reference. This often manifests as a reluctance to engage with counter arguments or a tendency to disregard information that challenges one's established worldview, irrespective of its empirical validity. So we might have explained something, and due to which, and we might need a strong phenomena here, like we need some sort of phenomena or some sort of definition or some kind of you can say observation, and after which we can say that this is causing a reluctance to, due to which we are, this is an example, maybe I feel like it, this often manifest as this is a manifestation due to like some sort of phenomena is occurring, and due to which there's some sort of manifestation to reluctance to engage with counter arguments or tendency to disregard information that challenges one's established worldview irrespective of its empirical validity. So definitely not a starting statement. We need some strong support for this statement. Cognitive rigidity, characterized by an inability or unwillingness to alter one's belief or thought pattern in the face of new evidence, represents a significant impediment to intellectual growth. Now, this is like really important that you have to remember. Like, this is maybe the main point of this. Like, cognitive rigidity, after that, with comma, this is like explained with what is inside the cognitive rigidity, represent a significant impediment to intellectual growth. So this is the main point, that cognitive rigidity is definitely detrimental to intellectual growth. So this seems like a starting statement, maybe. Until I've written this seems like a strong statement to me. Consequently, fostering intellectual ability and open-mindedness becomes paramount for navigating complex societal issues and promoting genuine understanding across diverse perspectives. Now, this is like very clear to me that like this seems like a, you can say, an ending statement, because we have fostering intellectual humility, it's not mentioned until now, and open-mindedness becomes paramount for navigating complex societal issues and promoting genuine understanding across diverse perspectives. To be honest with you, this seems like a statement that once we have mentioned cognitive rigidity, after we have mentioned like what is like something related to it, then we have mentioned some sort of anything like that, and this seems like an ending statement or third statement, like last ending statement to me. So this is not the link from Q&R. So Q&R definitely not linked. This is one thing that I'm definitely sure. Such inflexibility can lead to the formation of echo chambers within social networks where individuals are primarily exposed to information that reinforces their pre-existing conviction. So definitely I will say Q is the starting statement. There has to be fourth statement and Q is the starting statement. Now the next question arises, whether I should put S here, because R is definitely not there. So whether it's S here or P here, let's check it one by one. If I put P here, so what does the P means? Q is referring to a main point that cognitive rigidity is a significant impediment to intellectual growth. P is actually referring to the manifestation, like what it manifests, the cognitive rigidity. Like this is like, I feel like P is definitely a strong link here, because why I'm saying this, because let's look at this, that we are saying cognitive rigidity is an impediment to intellectual growth. This often manifests, we are referring this cognitive rigidity manifests itself as a reluctance to engage with counter arguments or tendency to disregard information that challenges one's established worldviews irrespective of its empirical validity. So this cognitive rigidity itself manifests in some form like that, and it's explained in like if a person is cognitive rigid, it does these kind of things. So definitely I will say Q after Q, P is definitely seems like a strong link to me. Why would not I not put S here? Because after P, S seems like a good choice. Look at this. Such inflexibility. Now, what is this inflexibility? If I put after Q, if I put S here, it leads a lot of problem, because we are saying cognitive rigidity represent a significant impediment in intellectual growth. Now, how can I put S here? Because where is the reference to such inflexibility? This seems like a lot of alien term, no? So we will not use after Q, S is not there, after Q, P is there, because after we have mentioned the use of cognitive rigidity, then we say the manifestation of cognitive rigidity, like like example, like if a person is cognitive rigid, then it may the manifestation of cognitive rigidity occurs like this is probably the best example for this. Then we say, and irrespective, because it disregards information that challenges one's established worldview, irrespective of whether the information is valid or not, he will disregard it. After that will comes the point of S, because such inflexibility, because you're inflexible, because you're not flexible. But let's look at the example from this, let's say if there is a person who has a negative image of leftist Democrats over the Americans, and if there's evidence that leftist Democrats were definitely not wrong, and that person is not willing to accept the empirical evidence of the data that's been provided on, so he's definitely a rigid person, isn't it? So that is the point here. So that such inflexibility mentions to this kind of rigidity, not accepting views can lead to the formation of echo chambers. It can cause formation of echo chambers within social networks where individuals are primarily exposed to information that reinforces their pre-existing convictions. So this is defining the echo chambers. And after that we will say R, perfectly ending statement, that consequently fostering intellectual humility and open-mindedness becomes paramount for navigating complex societal issues and promoting genuine understanding across diverse perspectives. So this seems like definitely a ending statement to me. You are saying that intellectual humility is really important, and you can say open-mindedness becomes paramount, vitally important for navigating complex societal issues and promoting genuine understanding across diverse perspectives. So definitely QPSR is and good thing to me. So this is I would say the tricky part here is you can say linking, making sure that after Q there is actually P and not S. You have to understand, because the major tricky part is the link of Q and P, because after we have defined cognitive rigidity, we explained that this cognitive rigidity manifests itself in a form of reluctance to this, and reluctance not accepting views. You might think okay, there's empirical evidence over there, you might accept it, but you don't accept it. And you after that you mentioned the angle of such inflexibility, not accepting the views although you have evidence, cause the form of echo chambers, and then after echo chambers you explain the R consequence of that. So there the correct sequence would be QPSR. Okay, now we go with the fourth parajumble. While this decentralization offers unprecedented opportunities for transparency and democratic participation, it simultaneously introduces new vulnerabilities and governance challenges. Now, from the very first statement, I will see while. So this is you can say a bipartisan statement, some kind of, because while this is mentioned, this is definitely not a starting statement, I'm definitely sure, because we don't know this decentralization needs a reference. What is this decentralization we're talking about? But the statement itself offers while this is a positive things, there are some positive things, offer unprecedented opportunity for transparency and democratic participation. It simultaneously introduces new vulnerabilities in governance. So there is a positive and there is a negative. Such kind of structures are much more common in last second, or you can say last statement. Okay, this seems like me a last statement or last second statement. So let's look at this manner. Blockchain technology, initially conceived for cryptocurrency, is rapidly extending its applications beyond finance, revolutionizing data management and supply chain logistics. So definitely I will say this is the starting statement for me, because it introduces the main topic to me. That is, blockchain technology, which is rapidly extending its application beyond finance. So the application of blockchain technology is going beyond finance, and supply chain logistics and data management. It's the application of blockchain technology is going on. Its fundamental innovation lies in creating now this is really important. The reference of its is here, so I will definitely make sure that after this is the second statement, because it makes the use pretty easy. That its fundamental innovation lies in creating immutable distributed ledgers that secure information without the need of central authority, fostering trust among disparate parties. So I'm definitely sure that first mentions the use of blockchain technology. After this, the third statement provides link with this, that the fundamental innovation. What is the fundamentally innovating part about this? Because it provides immutable ledgers that secure information without the need for a central authority. There need not to be a central authority, no central authority when we are using blockchain technology. So there is a trust among disparate parties. Different parties have trust because there is no central authority. Now, consequently, now remember this. I stated you again that consequently the legal and regulatory framework surrounding. We are definitely sure there has to be Q and there have to be P. Now the question arises: should I put S there or no? Sorry. There is Q and then there is R. So question arises: should I put S there or should I put P there? Now I will tell you why I won't put S there, because I will see consequently the legal and regulatory framework surrounding its adoption. What's adoption? Are struggling to keep pace with its rapid technological evolution, creating an environment of both immense potential and regulatory uncertainty. While the decentralization offer, now the point is this is definitely a negative outcome. Look at the statement. Consequently, the legal and regulatory framework surrounding its adoption is struggling to keep pace with the rapid technological evolutions. Although rapid technological evolution is occurring, the legal and regulatory framework surrounding adoption are struggling to keep up pace with this, creating an environment which is both immense potential and regulatory uncertainty. After this, I'm saying, while this decentralization, so what is this decentralization? I need the reference for this decentralization. No, and first thing, this is the probably thing that you can eliminate S from here, and second thing is that it is some sort of bipartisan statement, like more towards like saying that okay, like we have some positive things and then we have a negative things, like what a politician does, some sort of, like, let's say apples are good but they also have some kind of harm. So this is like some sort of starting statement, and this decentralization needs a strong reference. So we have, because there is no central authority, then we mention the point P, that while these decentralizations offer unprecedented opportunities for transparency and democratic participation, it simultaneously introduces new vulnerabilities and government challenges. And then we conclude with the statement S, that the consequently, as a result of which the legal and regulatory frameworks surrounding its adoption are struggling to keep pace with rapid technological innovation, which are creating an environment of both immense potential and regulatory uncertainty. So this is probably the best sequence for this. We start with Q, then we found a very easy link, that's R. You can say like there is what his blockchain technologies innovation lies in, and there is no central authority. Then we make a link to P because this decentralization offers a pretty good link to this. And after we conclude to S, that like the legal and regulatory frameworks, our adoptions are struggling. So QRPS is the, you can say, maybe the correct answer to this question. Maybe not, maybe this is the correct answer to this question. Now we have fifth question, and maybe the last question of the session. Again, I'm seeing the word consequently. I'm immediately putting that this is not the starting statement, because consequently requires some sort of, you can say, either this is the last. Usually it's a last statement or last second statement, and in some rare cases it can be second statement also, not first in any manner. The discourse surrounding their use, so we need their use also turns off, like this is probably needs a reference, like these need a strong supporting statement. This is a strong supporting statement. Must carefully weigh the balance between public safety, individual liberty, and the potential of misuse. So this seems like an ending statement to me, to be honest with you, because we are saying that the discourse surrounding their use, which means some sort of phenomena that we are discussing, or some sort of I don't know, something, must carefully weigh the balance. They must weigh the balance between public safety, individual liberty, and potential for misuse. So definitely this seems like an ending statement to me right now. If I don't get any sort of good ending statement, I will put this as an ending statement. Sophisticated surveillance technologies, from facial recognition to predictive policies, are increasingly deployed in urban centers for enhanced security and crime prevention. Definitely seems like a sharpening statement to me, that sophisticated surveillance technologies are are being increasingly deployed in urban centers to enhance security and crime preventions. Pretty good. While offering undesirable efficiencies in law enforcement, these tools raise profound ethical concerns regarding privacy, data ownership, and the potential for discriminatory appreciation. Now, as soon as I see the use of while, I'm pretty sure that it requires while offering undesirable efficiency in law enforcement. Although they do this is a positive statement, but it also it introduces a negative thing, that ethical concerns are being increased. Okay, so it can be I can say I can put after Q. Q is definitely the starting statement. There has to be a three statement around here. While offering undesirable efficiency in law enforcement, these may provide. So I can put R here. There is a question here. Let's look at S. If S is not suitable, I will put an R here because P cannot be there. Such deployments, now, most important thing, where is the reference of deployment? Look at this. Sophisticated surveillance technology from facial recognition to predictive policies are increasingly deployed in urban centers to enhance security. So they are being deployed, and such deployments, this deployed and such deployment, this forms a strong link. Reflect a global trend towards technological augmented governance, aiming to create unaltered cities but demanding stringent oversight. So the use of stringent oversight is done because like we are definitely deploying current servicing technologies for augmented governments to create unaltered cities, but it demands a stringent oversight. So Q and S are definitely linked. Now the question arises, whether I should put R here or whether I should P here. So definitely, if I put P here, imagine it. Consequently, the discourse surrounding their use must carefully weigh the balance between this and while offering undesirable efficiency law enforcement, these tools raise profound ethical concerns regarding privacy. So you are saying this, we need a you can say, if I put P here, so we are saying we need a balance between public safety, individual liberty, and potential for misuse. Then you are saying that while offering undesirable efficiencies in law enforcement, these tools raise profound ethical concerns. So there is a classic mismatch if you put P there. You have to introduce, although there are some positives of this, like law enforcement, they have profound ethical concerns. And as a result of which we include P, we need a kind of, you can say, we need a weighing, like use carefully weigh the balance between public safety, individual liberty, and the potential for misuse. So the discourse should be balanced. So QSRP would be the sequence of this parajumble. So I know like you might find some answers to be unconvincing. I was like, when I was solving these, I also found like, okay, maybe this is not been right true. But as you repeat it sometimes 2 or 3 times, you get the logic. Okay, like maybe this is the thing. And as you solve more and more parajumbles, you will understand. You will develop a source of understanding that okay, maybe this is the reason why this is not wrong. Because you have to understand the question setter is an evil person. The more easily that you understand this, the more easily it would be for you to learn all these traps that the examiner sets. So these are the 5 parajumbles that we discussed right now. We will be discussing a lot more parajumbles in the future, and definitely do check this out and tell me like some sort of review what's been going on here, and what are the things that you want to improve on in the future from my side. So yeah, peace and keep practicing, and we'll meet you again tomorrow.